Good morning. Wondering who is up and around and maybe on social media, which I don't know. Is it good that we're on social media or we get social media bings at 8 a.m. on a Friday morning? And in this situation, I hope you do. And if not, maybe you're watching later, days later. It just delights my heart to take a moment and just to connect with you. I'm a little nervous on this topic, and I'm not exactly sure why because I'm super passionate about it. But part of the reason is I didn't really prepare. I'm just speaking from my heart, which let's just be honest, anytime I pop up and do these Facebook Lives, they tend to just be this overflow from my heart. And and I'm okay with not it being perfect or me having to rehearse it because I really believe in this message. So, this is the time of year for those of you who are in the area or even nationally, you're aware of the tragedy of of any school shooting at an elementary, middle school, high school level, college. It's such an act of terrorism, and it's so evil. And so maybe that's why I'm a little nervous to talk about such a heavier topic, but it's not going to stay heavy. I mean, I just don't do that. It's acknowledging the trauma, acknowledging the pain, being okay, standing in the tension, being okay, um, just seeing it head on in a healthy, abundant way. And so as I spent this week really praying and talking to God and processing my own thoughts and emotions and being there for certain people. The Oxford community is just two communities over. And many of our friends, Ryan and I, we grew up in Rochester, which is just another community over as well. And many of our friends are now in Oxford and are raising their children and were part of the very traumatic high school, um, shooting at the high school a year, November 30th. And so I'm just holding space for people this week in an extra special way. But most importantly, I'm leaning on my faith. I'm leaning on what I believe is right and pure and true. And I'm grasping to what I know is true with this abundant mindset. And what I want to process a little bit is how just taking this time in remembrance, like how in the world do we have an abundant mindset and choose love in such tragedy? And good morning, Lisa. Nice to see you. And I am streaming both on Facebook and on YouTube, so I don't get to interact with y'all exactly the same way. So I just want to take a moment and just hold space for a moment in remembering this time of year, remembering Oxford, one of the earlier, I wanted to pray aloud, and there's all these different things I wanted to do. But the cool thing is, I know the power of prayer, and I was doing a lot of praying on my own, and I know that it changes my mindset. My abundant mindset changes the atmosphere, even if I'm not in that space. Maybe if I'm not even in that conversation or just doing some of the things that I see are going on in the Oxford community, leaders in the community who just been rising to the occasion in the last year. My friend Gail is one of them. She is the coach of the Oxford boys and girls tennis team. And Gail Bailey, she exudes abundance. And, I just am so grateful that at last spring, Gail had asked me to speak to her girls tennis team, during their end of the year banquet. And man, I was so nervous. I was like, I knew that her asking me and her delight in asking me, yes, it made me nervous, but I've learned to work through the nerves and say yes to invitations like that. But I had a lot of conversation that I needed to have internally and spiritually, and just like, why would she choose me? I didn't even play a game of tennis other than, with her sister, who was a dear friend of mine. growing up, and I'm really bad at tennis. And and I said, "You want me to talk to your tennis, you know, tennis team?" But I was an athlete. I was a high school and college athlete, but I played soccer and rugby, and I don't know the game of tennis too well. But of course, I said yes because I knew that there was a grander message, that I would love to just hold space, and believe that Gail sees something in me that I may not see in myself exactly. And that I would be an okay person to stand there and to share a message with these teenagers, with these high schoolers who are, high school athletes, and they're celebrating their tennis season, as well as still really dealing with, because it's the end of the year, still really dealing with whatever it is they're dealing with. So often, it might look on the surface that we've gotten over something, or, that we're resilient and, hey, we keep showing up in life. And yet internally, there's a lot of trauma stuck inside our bodies and our minds, and our emotions are all tangled up. And sometimes we are afraid to express that out, but yet we show up to tennis practice and we show up to school, but internally we're really terrified, And so for me, I didn't know where any of these girls were. And so I just sat here and I prepared and I thought, what would it be? What I want to hear if I were them, and all their families were at this banquet as well. And I just thought, well, what would I want to hear? And so again, I didn't do a lot of preparation, but I'm looking at my notes when I was able to talk to this group of students and student athletes. And so I just would like to share it with you and see if any of this resonates with you as well. And, this idea of abundance, choosing abundance, even in terror, choosing abundance in this worst case scenario happening, and our greatest fear happening, choosing abundance over scarcity, it is a choice. It's a day by day, sometimes a moment by moment choice. And so I was just talking with, this group. And by the way, when I was starting to speak to them, I was so nervous. I was tripping over my words. I didn't get yet a cadence. I felt like I was losing. So hold on to that part for a minute, because I was sweating it out. I was not doing the greatest job when I was sharing this beginning of this message. But I did start with this or I finally got to the point of just sharing the difference between abundance and scarcity. And scarcity is just this concept of so limited. Abundance is that there's enough for everyone, that we are full within ourselves, and that what we're offering is what we are full of. And that could be one or the other, right? But we're looking at abundance as in love, as in all these positive traits, these characteristics, this mindset. For me, it's simple. It's either love or fear. That's it. I just boil it down to abundance. I'm filled with this concept of a love. Later in the talk, I even put on these glasses, and it's like abundant mindset is like, no matter what I'm going through, I am choosing to view the situation from a place of love, and that I have such freedom to choose. I eventually put these glasses on. And that's abundance, that no matter what, and even if, I know internally, which is the only place I have control over, I know, good morning, Deb. I know internally that I have the freedom to choose how I'm going to show up and how I'm going to respond in this situation, if you will. And love is quite potent. And then I was mentioning scarcity, and it's like not enough. It's a lack. It's functioning from a place of depletion. It's this mindset that there's always limited quantities. There's not enough to go around. There's competition. There's if you're winning, I'm probably losing. There's got to be a winner and a loser. There's got to be teams. There's got to be the us and the them. There isn't an overflow. There's a lack. I'm always lacking. And then when terror strikes, It's more of like, I'm very much lacking. The world is lacking. Fear is screaming. Lies are being believed. And so scarcity is just this depletion and lessening, not enough. I have nothing to offer. I don't have love and freedom. I am imprisoned to this situation. Now, I didn't say all of that to this team yet. I was just quickly giving this quick difference between scarcity and abundant mindset. This is just the crux of this message this morning with you. Um, I told the girls how I am incredibly passionate about this concept of abundance and how my mission, if we would learn to, they have a mission with a girl. There's a school mission at Oxford, there's the tennis team mission. And Gail, my friend, the coach, Gail Bailey, she does this amazing job at casting the mission and the purpose for her team. And it isn't number one to win tennis matches, and she is a winning athlete. She knows the power and how good it feels to win literally on the scoreboard. And but she first has a mission, and what she puts first is the girls' wholeness, and boys too, but the girls' wholeness and wellness. And so they could understand that when I shared my personal mission for me is to be this abundant person, this joyfully abundant person. This is my mindset. This is my mission, that it's my action steps in life, no matter what, and even if, is to be this joyfully abundant. And I don't mean joy as in smile on my face. I mean joy, contentment, satisfaction in my heart. I guess I could just do this, right? That my mission in life, no matter what, is to have this lens, have this perspective, this joyfully abundant life that God intended for me to have. I just want to be that being, that person. It's not connected to anything else in the world. Doesn't mean I don't have those things that I'm connected to. But it just means that my goal is to inspire others to do the same by just being. And that can't be taken away. I can give that away, but it cannot be taken away. So I just took a quick minute to share, just the mission and the purpose, and to live that out loud, and how that can be interrupted. That when we deal with trauma, we deal with tragedy, we deal with loss, we deal with grief and suffering, we deal with invasions. Um, it can be troubling. It can challenge that mission of the day. But do we want to choose abundance? Do we have that perspective of abundance? It is our choice, no matter what and even if around us. So, specifically back to my talk with the girls' tennis team, I said, what was really interesting is having the opportunity to speak with them, not knowing as much about tennis. So I remembered something about tennis when I was playing a little bit in high school with my friends, the Jaranellas and other friends who were on the tennis team. And I remembered the word love in the game of tennis. And so back to preparing for this talk, I looked that up, and it was just such a delight to remember that when tennis, in the game of tennis, scorekeeping is an abundant mindset. And I was doing some research and realizing that it's really just, they play it for the love of the game. And that just exudes from their coach, just the love of life, the love of the game. And it is visible through their scorekeeping. And listen to this language. Their scorekeeping. If they are losing nil, no score, it's love. They call it love. Can you imagine when we feel that nil, we feel that loss, we feel that nothing, that we would call it love. Just remembering that point was so life-giving. And then I'm learning when they do score, when they do get a point, it's not 1 point, 2 points, 3 points, or even 2, 4, 6 points. It's what, 15 points. It grows exponentially. 15 points, 30 points. Okay, I got another point. Well, it doesn't go to 16 points or even 40, it goes to 40. And so I'm thinking, what a sport that teaches us, and I didn't say it exactly like this to them, but I'm going to say it here now. It's teaching us another way of thinking about the kingdom of heaven, heaven on earth now. If we're feeling a loss, choose love. Name it love. Our words, our scorekeeping has power. Good morning, Ariel. Good morning, friend. Our scorekeeping has power. Our word choice has power. And this game of tennis, if you will, is teaching the players to do this for the love of the game, for the love of life. The reason that I choose to follow Jesus and choose to be a Christ follower, not even as much as the label of Christian, the reason that I choose to follow Christ Jesus and use the Bible to help guide me through my game of life is because this is the religion. This is the set of thinking. This is the scorekeeping that no matter what, and even if through every most horrific trauma and tragedy, and how in the world are we going to get through this? The scorekeeping is so abundant. It made me think when I was talking to the girls that I was thinking personally, and then I was thinking when I was their age, as an athlete, as a student, someone who was 14 through 18 years old, who was figuring out how I fit in the world, let alone dealing with a tragedy in my school. Never had to deal with that, but I've had a tragedy in my own home. And I just took a moment and thought, and I invite you to think about when we feel like we're nil, a zero score, nothing. We feel like we're losing. And so I just took a moment and I thought about, and I just wanted to connect with them. I wanted to show them my compassion. And I thought about just in my life, maybe that just feels like a stressful day. Maybe that feels like sadness. Maybe that feels like anxiety. In this moment, I feel like a zero score. In this season of depression and suicidal ideation and dealing with certain traumas and, having a life threatening, having an attacker not come into my school as a high schooler, but come into my own home, felt like a loss. It felt like a zero score for my family. Maybe loss of a loved one or divorce, the fear of the unknown, the fear of the known. Maybe it's disease and an unfortunate life-threatening diagnosis. Maybe it's the loss of safety and security. All of these that feel like a zero score. It feels like nil. It feels like nothing. That's how our life circumstances, maybe we would define our score is zero. Maybe not feeling good enough or not measuring up. All of these would encourage a scarcity mindset, would encourage me or someone in that zero score to be like, I'll never get through this. This is impossible. I'll never be good enough. Or what I have to offer isn't enough. I mean, I was on the phone with some clients this week. It was a beautiful, heavy week of one-on-ones. And What a beautiful opportunity to hear the language, the lies, the limited beliefs, the scarcity mindset that comes from people because of real difficulties that they've been dealing with. I Why would I say yes to that? Why would I show up at that event? Why would I go to that? Why would I say yes to my friends at this luncheon? I'm tired. I have nothing to offer. My life has just been difficult. I don't have anything added value. I'm not fun. I'm boring. I'm not enough. My life is too heavy for them. I don't have anything fun to offer. Or continue on. Beyond this obstacle, this situation is way too big for me to conquer. This is going to take me out. This is it. This is the last straw. This is going to take me out. He or she has ruined my life. This person has and continues to ruin my life. I can't even breathe with this person in my life. I can't think. I can't function. I'll never get my life back. All of these limited, threatening of our abundant beliefs, and they're real. They're real circumstances. They're real traumas. I'm a loser. I'm always losing. Now, as I'm talking to these girls, I'm like, but the game of tennis is reminding us that we get to choose. Because those statements, I'm choosing to say that based on the garbage, the crud, the really bad stuff that's going on in my life. So I'm choosing to take the circumstance that's going out around me, and I'm choosing to let the circumstance dictate my perspective. I am owning this crappy circumstance, this evil that's happening around me. So yes, I brought these glasses and I've got many more. I use them during different talks. This evil that has happened, I'm not only going to experience the evil that's happening outside of me, I'm going to embrace it, possibly identify with it, let it identify me, and then let it show me the world. The world is evil. And I'm going to view the world as evil from this point forward. Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't take on a scarcity evil mindset? Evil just happened to me. This horrible situation just happened to me. How in the world do I choose freedom and love? But the game of tennis allows us to see, if we want to, if we choose it, that every what feels like no score, a loss, nil, is actually love. Yes, evil just occurred. Yes, but I get to choose how I'm going to interpret for my abundance, for my well being, that I'm not going to let evil imprison me. I am going to hold it out here as an event, a horrific tragedy. Even if like this shirt is also representing the player, Kylie. I don't know which way to use it here, but you get the point. Kylie Strong. So Kylie was one of the students who I got to meet in person, and all of them are special. All of them, it's an act of just pure love, a miracle that I got to be in the room with those exact young women and families. And Kylie was one of the girls who was shot next to Hannah. Hannah lost her life. Kylie did not, and she lost some function and abilities. And there's more to it. And I posted her story on my feed, but I was looking in the eyes of all the girls, but also Kylie, and hearing part of her story, that she was a victim, as they all were, but she was shot, and she chose to view it from a lens of love and freedom to choose how she was going to interpret, how she was going to let evil impact her any more than it already has. It's up to her. It's up to you. It was up to me when evil entered my home. Nobody can tell me how to choose if I'm going to be abundant or have the scarcity mindset. And so, with this ability to choose love, freedom to choose, the game of tennis taught me, and I got to check the time. Oh, I got to wrap this up. The game of tennis taught me I will get through this. I do not know yet, but I don't know how yet, but I will. I may not be good enough now, but I will keep trying little by little until I reach my goal. I didn't need to be excellent at this. However, I can be good and have fun while trying. I'm growing. I'm making progress. This will not take me out. This will not take me out. I refuse to let it. I lost this round. I lost this game. I lost this set. I lost this match, but I will stop and reflect and learn how to use this loss as growth opportunity for my next match, for my next win. I seem to lose a lot. What I do need to try to do differently, what do I need to do next time for some improvements? Now, he may have done this to me, but I will not give him more power over me by also giving up my will and my ability to choose. And I will not choose evil and match evil and have the perspective of evil or fear or hate or additional control. They may not steal my peace and joy. This situation that seems so heavy, so insurmountable, cannot steal my internal peace and joy. And in this public school setting, I do wish that I could say that, yes, these are great statements. These are words that will impact us, that will allow us to see ourselves through the situation, and yes, give us a level of empowerment and security in what we can't control around us. But it, for me, and for those who have a faith larger than themselves, I don't know how I would continue to choose an abundant love that is always just that much bigger than any evil I have ever come across if I didn't rely and rest in the enoughness of Jesus. Could I say that exactly like that? No. But could I lead them into and create conditions in these young lives to say that you have it built within you because you are made from a maker. You are made from a capital M maker and capital C creator that gives you that spiritual ability to see evil and to see pain from enough of a distance to say, you know what? It's okay to be weak. It's okay not to know how you're going to, but trust me, if you just choose to look at that force that's greater than your circumstances and, quite frankly, greater than your mindset, because your mind right now is all over the place, and that's okay. But if you rest in me, from which I fight all my battles, if you rest in me and give me the trauma, give me the pain, give me the high school terrorism, give me your anger for this family that seemed to did allow it to happen. The evil that worked through this young man who's so young, and it's evident that it's just pure evil that works through him. It's never against flesh and blood. I don't want to see through the lens of additional evil, hate, and garbage. I don't want to exude that into the world. What I want to exude, and I want to while standing in the tension and dealing with the pain and the trauma, not avoiding it, not numbing out, not secluding myself, not getting caught up in it, but just compassionately holding it out to allow Christ Jesus, to allow God, to allow the Holy Spirit, the triune God, to enter into the situation, to not just give you that temporary mindset of abundance, but this eternal peace that supersedes all understanding. And so I got to close because I got to get on to a coaching call. But what I want to share with you, in addition to what I just shared with you, is that we have the right to feel the trauma, but you also have the choice to step away from it just far enough to ask God, the creator of all the cosmos, what do you want me to know? And what do you want me to do? And it is always going to be answered. And it's always going to be tender and compassionate and loving. Always. And if it's just to soothe my heart for that moment and to heal, and then when I'm healing and I'm getting back to a fullness and a wholeness so that I can not only see again through the lens of love and freedom, but yet what exudes for me is the freedom to love, not fear. I love you all. I got to go. I hope that message blessed you as much as this meditating on this week blessed me. Talk to you later. Bye.